Promulgated. Yes, proclaimed it shall be that the narrator of this account is no longer among the sane. His body endures, his heart beats steady, yet his soul festers and his mind writhes in disease. It was in February when I arrived, borne by a small vessel upon the shores of that isolated and cursed island. My charge was simple, to man the lighthouse perched upon it. When I stepped off the boat, the sight that met my eyes was a grim defiance of all comfort. A malignant fog clung to the waves, a thick shroud, shifting and cold. It obscured all but the faint, ghostly silhouette of the tower I was to inhabit. As I stepped onto the rocky strand, a sound reached my ears, a high-pitched, unrelenting howl as though the wind itself was screaming. Unloading my scant belongings, I pressed inland, hoping the village might offer some small comfort to my growing sense of isolation. The settlement was a modest Nordic commune, its wooden homes weathered and silent. The locals, grim-faced and distant, regarded me with the disinterest reserved for strangers. And so, without welcome or word, I pressed on to the lighthouse. The structure stood in bleak defiance of the sea, a forlorn pillar of gray and blue, its paint peeling in jagged scars, a visible testament to years of neglect. I ascended the spiral staircase, slick with the salt-heavy humidity of the maritime air. Upon reaching the lantern room, I found the glass veiled in a semi-opaque frost, a strange, unnatural film that dulled the beacon's glow. The wind clawed through an open balcony door, left ajar by the previous keeper. Shivering, I stepped onto the platform and gripped the rusted railing. The ocean stretched endlessly before me, a grim expanse of leaden water beneath a sky of oppressive clouds. Had an artist sought to capture this scene, it would be a miserable canvas unfit for the wildest imagination. And then, I saw them. Beyond the horizon, they writhed, 6 blasphemous shapes adrift on the heaving void, like kelp caught in some unseen malevolent tide. A chill, abyssal and insidious, gnawed my spine. My heart lurched into a maddened cadence. The wind shrieked, a howling cacophony entwined with the drumbeat of my own terror. I could not move. They twisted and swayed in the icy void, writhing as the wind shrieked in an eerie accord with my rising horror. Reeling, I staggered into the lighthouse, half falling down the spiral stairs in frantic retreat. In my quarters, I lurched into the washroom, hands shaking as I wrenched the faucet, dousing my face in a futile bid to dispel the dread. Slowly, my mind crawled back from the abyss. As dawn crept near, I ventured back into the village, seeking breakfast in the mess hall. But what I found unmoored the last of my fragile sanity. The village was gone. No homes, no bodies, nothing but wind, wailing, shrieking, drilling into my skull. I clamped my hands over my ears. Useless! The gale cleaned on, a lunatic's dirge. My breath hitched, my limbs shook, then silence. I crumpled into the corner, a babbling wreck, hollowed by terror. That night, as I once more ascended to the lantern, the figures returned. Not 6, but 10 now, twisting and writhing upon the distant horizon. Yet it was not their number that sealed my horror, but the light. A searing light flared over the back waves. Jerking, flickering, alive, it lurched, halted, then shot upward. It met my gaze. Terror struck. My limbs locked, my breath failed, the wind shrieked. A thing of rage and malice, my heart pounded, each beat a hammer blow. I wanted to fall, to flee, but the light held me, unyielding in its dreadful grip, and I blacked out. When I woke, I found myself lying upon a patch of cold grass. The villagers gathered around me. I staggered to my feet, my mind a whirlwind of confusion. Tricked! Betrayed by my own eyes! I cried, my voice wild and slurred. You all had vanished, gone without a trace. A villager whispered, "He is mad." "I am not mad," I bellowed. "You did not see what I have seen, you did not hear what I have heard, and yet, in the blackest depths of my mind, I wondered, was I truly sane?" The next morning, a cruel chill gnawed at the air. My breath escaped in frozen wisps. I rushed outside and beheld a scene of unspeakable horror. The ocean was ice, smooth, unbroken, stretching to the horizon like a glassy abyss. The village was gone once more, and the figures were there, They danced as before, but this time I resolved to approach them. Perhaps if I gazed upon them slowly, the fear would lose its grip. I ventured forward 10 feet away. The shapes became clear, and what I saw shattered me. Pallid was their skin, ashen, almost translucent. No faces, only smooth, empty voids. Tendrils of flesh trailed from their forms, writhing like seaweed in the howling gale. Then, the light. The ghastly light consumed me, searing, unholy, and the wind, a shrieking wail not from above, but from them. The tall, monstrous, absurd towered close. Arms hung low, unnaturally long, skin cracked and pitted, riddling with gaping maws. No face, only radiance, a blinding, mindless effulgence. Pouring, pulsing, devouring all. I whirled to flee, yet the space between us remained. 10 feet, forever 10 feet. The wind howled, my chest hammered. The world shrieked with noise, with light, with madness. A boat drifted, gliding over ice unbroken. Yet the ice swayed, fluid, writhing. I looked down, my flesh no longer mine, a sickly gray, the hue of them. From my arms, tendrils of pallid sea growth slithered forth. The ice beneath me darkened, softened, dissolved into churning depths. My thoughts dim, too still, too quiet. I could do nothing, I feel nothing. I had become one of them. So let it be promulgated. The narrator of this tale is no